Richard Grant in the super middleweight bout against Vitaly Kopitko from Foxwoods Resort in Ledyard, Connecticut. Vitaly Kopitko is 31 years of age, weighed in at 168 pounds. And he has a professional record of 18-3 with 8 knockouts. Been in the United States for 5 months trying to further his career. He is a board-certified dermatologist. His wife is a physician, and his dad is a philosophy professor at the University of Kiev. So he does not come from the normal background as far as boxing is concerned. You get a look at his last 5 opponents, coming off a December 14th win against Roosevelt Walker, who's 22-10. Richard Grant, known as the Alien, born in Kingston, Jamaica, fighting out of Brooklyn, New York, 5'10", 165.5 pounds, 12-8. with 2 knockout wins. He's lost to guys like Will Taylor, Scott Pemberton, Emil Baku, Kabari Salim, Eric Harding. You get a look at his last 5. He was knocked out by Hernandez in November of '99. So we are getting set for the bout. Dan O'Neill,
gentlemen, you both know the rules. Have a good clean
Vitaly
fight. Obey my
Kopitko
commands
and
at all
Richard
times.
Grant.
Shake hands. Good luck.
We'll take a look at the rules. The unified rules will be used. And they are as follows. No 3 knockdown rule, no standing 8 count. Fighter cannot be saved with a bell in any round. Only the referee can stop it. That's Dan O'Neill. And accidental foul, they'll go to the scorecards after 4 rounds are complete.
Get me out of here quick.
So Richard Grant came to the United States in 1996 with the Jamaican Olympic team. Lasted 2 bouts. And then someone approached him about fighting in the U.S. He called his mom in Jamaica and asked her if she'd mind not seeing him for a couple of years. And here's Richard Grant fighting as a pro in the United States. Kopitko in the red, the southpaw. Grant with blue hair and the blue trunks.
Kopitko is southpaw. A lot of European fighters are southpaws. They don't switch it much over to the orthodox position when they're in Europe.
Brian and Max were talking about Grant beating the Harlem Hammer, James Butler. And as Max alluded to the fact he had some issues with it, that was early in the career of both guys. Grant and Butler squared off in '97, January of '97, a 4-round win.
Grant's trying to do the right thing against the southpaw by the book. Stepping to his left, trying to keep his lead foot, his left foot outside the lead foot, the right foot. Kopitko. Trying to get a better angle, stay away from that power hand, the backhand, the left hand.
Kopitko appeared in the Goodwill Games back in 1994. Had 185 wins as a pro, as an amateur. He had 185 wins as a pro. Could be something else.
The style of Kopitko can be very awkward, very difficult for a conventional fighter like Grant, who hasn't seen a lot of European styles. Kopitko steps out, gives ground, and then looks to counter right away. Can make Grant reach in. That's what he's going to try to do. Make Grant reach in a little bit so he can create some counter opportunities.
Kopitko was knocked out once in his career back in '97, his 5th pro bout in France, stopped in the 6th round by Bruno Gerard, who is the reigning WBA super middleweight champion.
Grant has fought some good fighters.
Now, what about Grant going southpaw here, Ted?
It's one of 2 things. He's looking for something. He's a little bit frustrated. He didn't stay with it too long. One thing that it can tell your opponent is that his southpaw style is bothering you. You don't want to tell your opponent anything negative. You don't want to give any psychological edge to your opponent. The most important thing, I think, for Grant is to get his distance, to take a step. Kopitko, who steps back, not reach. Step to the right distance. Bring your legs. Double your jab up to close the gap. That's what Grant needs to do. There's the reaching again. Continues reaching like that, he's going to get caught with some counters from Kopitko.
Vitaly Kopitko and Richard Grant finished with round number 1. Right now, Kopitko and Grant underway round number 2. first round sort of a feeling out process. The first minute of the first round, neither guy landed a punch. Grant was able to shoot a couple of right hands against Kopitko in that first round. Grant trying to create some angles for himself against the southpaw Kopitko.
Style is consistent here. Kopitko, the European-based fighter from the Ukraine, or was based at one time in the Ukraine, has that style, has brought it over here to the States. Step out, gives ground, Bob. Very awkward. Makes you reach. Kopitko's doing the hard part, making Grant reach. He's not doing the fun part. He's not punching right now. Not making him pay. That's what he needs to start doing. And what Grant needs to start doing, Bob, is to close that gap the right way. Double the jab up, triple the jab up. Not reach in with one shot and fall prey to that style, that European-type style of Kopitko. This kind of fight is very important. Even though it's a difficult style for both guys, awkward. Awkward for Grant because he has a southpaw in front of him. He has a guy who steps away from him. Awkward for Kopitko because he's the kind of guy that uses his awkwardness in a clever sort of way as an advantage. Both guys need to use that jab. Even if it doesn't land, Bob. Just to set up the other man, just to give the other man something to think about, to start to settle things, to start to put some semblance to some kind of steady strategy. Whoever uses that jab will have an edge.
We'll keep our eye on it over the balance of the final 8 rounds. Bob Papa, Teddy Atlas from Foxwoods. We get set for the start of round number 3 between Richard Grant and Vitaly Kopitko. No knockdowns so far in the fight. And we're underway with round number 3. Both guys having problems right now getting into a rhythm.
Grant has the color-coordinated hair, blue to match his trunks, a la Dennis Rodman, the former basketball star.
There you go. Break! Break clean. Watch your heads, watch your heads.
This fight comes down to who can impose their style better on the other man. Kopitko wants it to be an awkward fight. He wants to step out, give ground, create counter opportunities, keep Grant frustrated, off balance. What Grant should want to do is start to get some structure, something consistent he can rely on. Close the gap in a steady way, proper way, a fundamentally correct way, by doubling the jab up, bringing his legs. Not get into a fight where he's reaching, looking for one shot. Then he's going to get counted, like he just did there by Kopitko. That's Kopitko's fight. Kopitko has the rhythm going his way right now, Bob.
Well, his awkward style, he's been able to do some things off it here in the last round and a half.
The reason he's able to do that, Kopitko, is 200 amateur fights.
Keep up, keep up.
Gives him the experience, the comfort zone, the calm sense of anticipation in the ring. To be able to get away with stepping out just at the right time. Some guys step out, they step out at the wrong time. They get caught. As great a fighter as Muhammad Ali was, in truth, he hurt a lot of young fighters, Bob, back in his era. Because a lot of fighters, he would do things wrong. He would do it with this great sense of anticipation, stepping out, breaking all the conventional rules, all the rules that the trainers would have worked hard on making sure he didn't do. He'd get away with it. And then other guys that didn't have that sense of anticipation would copy it, they get caught.
Roy Jones does that now. got all the athletic ability and the quickness and everything else.
Very good point. He's the only fighter of many errors that you can remember that come very similar, very close to the kind of talent of an Ali to be able to do things wrong and get away with that great speed, and he has power too, and sense of anticipation and confidence. Roy Jones has something similar with Ali. He had a great amateur background.
Well, right now, Vitaly Kopitko frustrating Richard Grant just a bit as we hit the end of round 3.
Bottom right-hand corner, Vitaly Kopitko, the southpaw, getting off first, getting out, controlling the rhythm, coming back every time he makes Richard Grant miss. That's the way you want to do it if you have that kind of style. He's doing it that way.
Round number 4 underway, scheduled for 10 super middleweights. Vitaly Kopitko in the red, Richard Grant in the blue. So far, fairly even bout, but Kopitko's style is creating frustration problems for Grant. We'll take a look at the punch numbers through 3 rounds. And you see Kopitko with the slight edge as far as connects and percentage. Hey, what does Grant have to do to sort of get into a rhythm and turn this fight a little bit in his favor?
You said the magic word, Bob. Get into a rhythm. Get things going where he has control, where he becomes the ocean instead of the log. Right now, he's the log. The ocean is Kopitko. He's taking him out, bringing him in whenever he wants to. Grant doesn't have control of the rhythm. Grant needs to step down, to walk down Kopitko, to not reach in. Take control with that jab, even though it's not going to land the way he wants it to against the southpaw. Give Kopitko something to worry about. Get into the right range, like he's starting to do there, and get his punches off where he has balance. Not reach like that. He reaches like that, he's going to get counted. Also, a little feinting wouldn't be a bad idea, at least in my estimation, for Grant. Kopitko depends on anticipating what you're going to do. He thinks you're going to throw, he steps out like that, and then he looks to counter. So feint him. Let him think you're going to come in, make him move, and then when he moves, then you can time him.
As you can see, even in a professional fight, why a lot of the Eastern European amateurs, the southpaws from Germany, Russia, Bulgaria, Romania, why they give a lot of the Westerners, especially the Americans, problems in amateur competitions because of the style. It's awkward. It's based on countering. And in the amateur game, it's even more effective.
Absolutely. Jeff Lacey, who we had on our network last week, one of the Olympic kids, who looks like they're going to be a good pro. He lost when we were in Sydney. I was watching that fight. I called that fight. He lost to one of the European fighters, a fighter from Russia, for exactly that reason. Awkward style.
And Grant ripped the counter left there.
Grant needs to get his distance, get his legs into position. If his legs are there, instead of his head and upper body being there first, he has a chance to get off and do what he had to do against Kopitko. Kopitko has been prone to cuts. That can still turn this fight around. Because Grant has been knocked out 4 times. So he doesn't want to keep reaching in, leaving himself and his chin wide open. When you have an awkward style, well, headbutts can occur like that because you're going to start getting a little over-anxious. You're going to start reaching in like Grant did there, and you can run in with your head. You can get cut. Grant got that headbutt at the end of the round there, Mark.
According to CompuBox, Joe Carnicelli and Saul Avilar are at the controls of CompuBox tonight. That's the first round that Grant has outlanded Kopitko. I have it even through 4. See the numbers from that 4th round. Get this bout scheduled for 10 super middleweights. Richard Grant and Vitaly Kopitko.
Now I see a little adjustment here. I got to give him credit to Richard Grant here, Bob. You see this adjustment here? He's not just walking in. He's not fighting fire against fire right now. Instead of coming in and just trying to reach in, he's boxing a little bit, trying to make Kopitko come to him and stand still a little bit. Looks like he got that for a minute. He was able to get off. You can see Grant is trying to turn the tables a little bit on the awkward style of Kopitko. at least the beginning of the round, trying to use his legs, box a little bit, not force his way in.
A lot of room in that ring. About 22 feet by 22 feet inside the ropes.
See, Grant's trying to box, trying to get exactly what he was trying to do. He just missed there with a counter. He's trying to get Kopitko to come to him now a little bit. Trying to make Kopitko come out of his style a little bit. Make Kopitko a little bit more predictable by boxing a little bit instead of just being the bull and letting Kopitko be the matador. He's trying to box a little bit. Let Kopitko be the bull. Come in, walk into some punches. And Grant's doing a little better with that style.
Kopitko, though, got a good right hand in there.
Keep him up, keep him up.
Now Kopitko feels he has Grant in a position where he's reaching a little bit again. He's looking to counter.
Yeah, Grant got some good body shots and got a couple good shots in there.
Grant has to stay away from that reaching. That moment you just mentioned where Grant had a good little bit of a spot there, he was bringing his legs. He was stepping instead of reaching. Getting frustrated again with the style of Kopitko. Probably one of the main things that he has to fight against in his fight. Grant.
It's like Kopitko has a cut on the left eye.
Well, he has been prone to cuts before. Grant has to make sure he doesn't get frustrated.
Seconds out, let's go. Bucks.
Round number 6 underway between Vitaly Kopitko and Richard Grant. Little cut on the left eye of Kopitko. And I asked referee Don O'Neill in between rounds 5 and 6. He said it was from heads clashing. So if that cut worsened and this fight was stopped based on that fact, they would go to the scorecard, not be a TKO for Grant. Take a look at the punches in the last round. Very close round. You like Kopitko in that last round?
Oh, I gave it to Grant, 10-9, but a round where you could make an argument for an even round. And
I can't believe you didn't go even. It's your forte.
Discipline. Discipline, my friend. And the kind of round that can lead to a close decision. Controversial decision. Subjective scoring. Happens a lot in the sport of boxing. It's coming down to styles, as we said right from the beginning. Who can impose their style? Who can stay with their style? Make their style more effective.
Teddy scorecard through 5, 48-47 Grant. Have the same score. But you can make the case that it's the other way easily.
Stop punching. Break.
Grant's a little quicker than Kopitko. And he's been able to use that in spots. He sneaks himself close to the front door, not too far away, and then he's able to jump in a little bit with quick shots. That time he reached it, but when he gets a little closer, sometimes Grant has been effective with just being able to quickly score 1 or 2 punches. Just from the right distance.
The heads come together at the end of that exchange.
See, that was an exchange right there where Grant fell in.
Again, their heads clash.
Well, that's the styles. Kopitko awkward, steps out, makes you reach, and Grant is reaching. And when he reaches, the upper part of his body is forward. He doesn't have his legs under him. And he's out of control. When you're out of control, you're going to have head clashes. Headbutts. Bad things will happen. Right now you see Kopitko is looking to time Grant reaching in. Knows that Grant has been prone to reaching in. That time Grant doubled, tripled up his jab. Brought his legs. Didn't leave himself open. We've already had a couple clashes of heads, and this is why. You can see Grant reaching in with punches, not bringing his leg, his head forward. When your head's forward, well, you're going to clash.
Round number 7 underway. Scheduled for 10 super middleweights. Vitaly Kopitko and Richard Grant. Take a look at the punch numbers through 6 rounds, and you see how even it is. Grant has thrown exactly 1 more punch. Kopitko has landed 7 more, according to CompuBox. Fairly even in the jabs and power punches in this fight.
Again, the bread and butter of Kopitko is when Grant reaches in, which of course Kopitko sets up with his legs by stepping out. Kopitko loves to counter them. Kopitko's playing it 2 ways right now, Bob. One, he'll step out and counter like he did there. That time he went back a second time straight back and got caught. The other thing that Kopitko will do is if Grant's frustrated and just waits in front, then Kopitko will get off. He will lead then. So you change gears a little bit. You step out here, counter. You get a little frustrated. You wait in front of him. Well, then he'll try to get off on you. Again, the magic for Grant, the trick for Grant, is to try to control the rhythm. I know it's easier said than done. But you have to have a plan. You have to have an understanding of what your opponent's doing and what you need to do. He needs to feint. Kopitko, make him as predictable as possible. Make him move where you want him to move. Feint him, make him move back, then you know where he is. You know where to step to. Instead of reaching, trying to find out the hard way. You don't want to guess. You want to know if you can. There's always ways to know.
Step back. There you go.
Also, Grant must take steps, Bob. When he wants to punch, he must take steps. If he doesn't take steps, he's going to be reaching. And that's playing right into the hands of the style of Kopitko. Right now, you get the feeling that the rhythm is being controlled by the man in the red, don't you?
Sure, especially in this round. He hasn't done a lot, but he has controlled the action of this round, or at times the lack of action is because of Kopitko.
There is a little bit of a chess match going on. Although it's not exactly Fischer and what was the name of that Russian great chess master?
Well done, well done.
Bortsky.
Teddy breaking out the chess. Bob Papa, Teddy Atlas back at Foxwoods. Friday Night Fights presented by Miller High Life. Vinny Pazienza, Aaron Superman Davis coming up in our main event. Richard Grant, Vitaly Kopitko. Now,
Sorry about that, partner. You're catching a little something, aren't you?
you got me thinking of the chess.
I only play checkers, so excuse me if I don't have the great chess master's names down exactly right.
Kasparov?
There it is. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bobby Fischer, you were talking about that. Take a look at the power punches. We mentioned that this fight very even. And really, at certain points, Kopitko has been able to control it, as he did in the last round, although not a lot of action. Kind of controlling there. He steps in with a left hand against Richard Grant.
The man who should be stepping in is Richard Grant, and who doesn't? Kopitko lands that backhand, the left hand, which can be pretty effective because the orthodox fighter is not used to seeing that hand comes from that position. But of course, with the southpaw, that's exactly where it's coming from. Grant's got problems right now. He's switching southpaw because I think he's frustrated right now with the style of Kopitko.
There he shoots a right hand, but he has not had a lot of success with the southpaw stance.
No, he's doing it out of frustration. That's not a good sign to your opponent, as we mentioned earlier. If that's the way your opponent reads it.
Hey, sometimes it seems to me that when a guy switches southpaw, and you would have a better feel for this. Offensively, he might be able to do a few things better, but a lot of times when the other guy starts punching back, guys are very confused defending as a southpaw.
You know, that's a real good point. That's an elementary point. Because the thing that is most difficult to get down is always defense, Bob. You give me a kid off the street, I'll put him in the ring, hits 4 punches. Maybe only for a few seconds, maybe for half a minute. Hits 4 punches. But to get away from the punches, that takes knowledge. That takes training. That takes technique. And you're absolutely right. You can throw the punches from the southpaw stance. That's not too difficult. But to be able to negotiate the defensive maneuvers and tactics from the new position, that takes time. That takes teaching. And when it's new to you, you're going to be behind in that area. Very good point. Grasshopper. You may leave at the end of this because of that astute observation.
Thank you, Teddy-san.
And if this doesn't pick up a little bit, I may leave.
Well, it's the style of Kopitko that's creating the problems, and Grant has not been able to sort of unlock that lock and sort of open it up. 6 minutes to go between Richard Grant and Vitaly Kopitko. Kopitko in the red, Grant in the blue. No knockdown so far in the fight. The awkward style of Kopitko, and Grant has been frustrated. Grant had some moments in the middle rounds, but Kopitko has kind of fought his game.
There's two ways that Grant can approach this, but you have to be consistent with one. One is he can box, move out a little bit, make Kopitko come out of his style, and then look to counterpunch to counterpunch. You can do that. And he did it in those in-between, those middle rounds where he made a little adjustment we talked about, Bob. Or the other way is just to be consistent on stepping, walking your man down behind the jab, not reaching in, not leaving openings for the counterpunch opportunities of Kopitko. But either way, you have to be steady. You have to be consistent with it. You have to grab a hold of one of those ideas and employ it. Employ it regularly. And you can see Grant is drifting. Grant is not sure what he wants to do, and that's got everything to do with the awkwardness of Kopitko.
There you go.
Teddy scorecard through 8, 77, 76 for Kopitko. Yeah, that 6th round even. I get that 6th round to Kopitko. I have it 77, 75 for Vitaly. A couple rounds in there, though. Either way, that could easily be flipped on your scorecard. Knockdowns in the fight.
There's that being undecided again by Grant. Reaching in rather than stepping. Little late punch. Frustration will do that. When you finally get your position and a chance to get off, sometimes you get a little overzealous when you have an awkward guy in front of you, like Grant does.
Grant right on the belt line with that right hand. Might get cautioned for it.
Second one, Richard.
Yep,
Keep on. Come on. Box.
Right now, Grant is reaching in.
Very clean.
Kopitko is looking, just waiting for those counter opportunities. And there they are. He's like Kopitko when he sees Grant reaching in, his eyes get big. He's like a man who hasn't eaten and he sees a steak. He knows he gets what he wants.
Grant has had some moments in this round. Kopitko trying to finish with a flurry.
Time!
10th and final round underway. Richard Grant, Vitaly Kopitko. No knockdowns in the fight. Kopitko's awkward style seems to have an edge in his favor. Their heads come together again.
Again, Grant reaching in. He's got a bad cut, it looks like, on the forehead. Reaching in, jumping in with his head. And
now remember, accidental clash of heads. If this fight is stopped, since we're past 4 rounds, they would go to the scorecard. Take a look at it. We've had a couple like this.
Richard, come out to the corner.
yes, we have. It's been consistent.
This fight's going to get stopped.
Two things caused that. One is the style, again, of Kopitko stepping out and Grant being frustrated most of the fight and jumping in. One other thing, the last round. Grant knew he needed a big round, Bob. He knew he might have been behind. And he was even more over-anxious early in the round. That's what led to that.
And I think they can stop this fight. Let's try to listen in the
They
corner.
hit heads as they were thrown. They clashed heads. Accidental, yes. Accident. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna stool. Let's get a stool. You want to just get him out? The fight's over. Accidental headbutt. You go to the cards. Fight's
It
over.
looks like they're gonna. This fight is gonna be stopped.
Accidental headbutt. We're going to the cards. The fight's over.
Doctors attending there to Grant.
Accidental clash of heads.
They're going to go to the scorecards. We will get the decision in just a second as Richard Grant suffers a cut on his head, clash of heads in the 10th round. 18 seconds into the 10th and final round, Richard Grant, Vitaly Kopitko, clash of heads, severe cut on the head of Grant. The doctors took a quick look at it, and they called a halt to this bout 18 seconds into the 10th round. Now remember, after 4 rounds, they go to the judges' scorecards on an accidental clash of heads. And it was a very bad cut suffered by Grant. Kopitko had suffered a cut on his left eye in the 5th round from a clash of heads. You get a look at it right here, straight on, Teddy.
Yeah, Kopitko right there looking to counter, and Grant jumping in. And it's that simple.
And it was accidental. It's not like, you know, there was blatant headbutting. It's just the styles created these clashes of heads. And Richard Grant heading back to the dressing room area, probably going to go to the hospital where they will tend to that cut. And the punch numbers in this fight, obviously very close, fairly even fight as far as the number of punches thrown. Slight edge in connect for Kopitko, landing 15 more punches through the balance of 9 rounds and 18 seconds. Teddy's scorecard through 9, you had it 87-85. I had it 87-84 Kopitko. Let's get the judges' scorecards. Here's our ring announcer, Mark Biro.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time, 18 seconds of the 10th round. An accidental headbutt ruling has been made. We have a technical decision. Here is the decision of the 3 judges at ringside. Judges Don Ackerman and Robert Paulino both score it 87-84. And Judge Steve Epstein scores it 86-85, all to the winner by unanimous technical decision, Richard Grant.
Wow, Richard Grant got the decision.
Well, we said it would be a subjective, that scoring is subjective, and we said very early this could lead, close rounds could lead to a controversial decision.
Well, the fans here at Foxwoods think Vitaly Kopitko won the fight. You and I thought he won the fight with maybe the more effective work, but as we said, a lot of very close rounds, and depending on how you view them. So Kopitko suffers his 4th loss. Grant a winner.